And welcome back to the Buckle Up Podcast universe with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush. We are happy to have you on here today. Today we have Vivian on here, who will be talking to us about her career in the national television scene and her work behind the scenes with journalism. And she also now is and I have to read off of this, she's a chairman or chairwoman, excuse me, of the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission. So we're going to be excited to have her on here, and I'll get ready to let her in. Currently, we still have 13.6 million viewers and listeners in 73 countries and 793 cities around the world as of the other day. So we appreciate you all listening and tuning in. We have all different kinds of guests from different walks of life on this show, from military to teachers to medical lawyers. We've had judges on here. We've had people in the movie business that I work in, directors, producers, casting directors, and writers. So we are FBI agency, and so we're happy to have all of them on here. And I will get ready to let Vivian on as we speak. Let's see here, and the only thing I want to change on a pause this for 1 second.
Okay.
Recording and
today, if you don't mind.
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely. Vivian, I forgot to hit record, so I'm going to say that one more time. So,
okay. All right. We'll start again. Take two.
Oh, yes, ma'am. This is my cousin, Vivian Glover, who we're welcoming to the Buckle Up Podcast universe with Brandon Rush and Mama Rush.
Uh-huh.
And we are excited to have my cousin, Vivian Glover, on here today, it's all about you today and your history with journalism and your career currently as well. So I'd love to, it's all about you today.
Well, I have to tell you, Brandon, I listened to that little snippet you sent with Jeffrey Ziegler, our cousin.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And just before this, I listened to the entire Zoom podcast, and I want it to be about you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I followed your career. And I know you're in New York now, and my background's in news, but I run across everybody,
Yes.
And so I want to make sure we include you and you're ambitious. So kind of consider me an elderly aunt.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. If you wouldn't mind, we can do both.
Once you with every success, and I've heard you talk about that, and I thought, yeah, I think he's on the cusp, and I think I'm going to tell him some things that I just feel about what he's doing. So it's not gonna be just about me,
Okay.
because you're the future,
Well,
And
thank you so much. No,
yeah,
that means the world to me. So I'm not in New York yet. I'm about to be. So I'm gonna be moving there
that's
February, March.
going to be your new home, your new place, your
Yes,
new
ma'am.
place, your the point from which you jump off into all the things that you know and can be. So yeah, and it's not that New York is only a nonstop flight from Columbia to which I did a lot during my days with NBC. So
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to touch on that. So believe it or not, Vivian, I have worked since 2017. I've been working in New York. The thing is, I was traveling back and forth for New York, so I've taken that flight to New York probably like a good 80 times.
okay.
So, like from
It used to be
Columbia.
U.S. Airways, now it's American, right? You go from
Yes, ma'am, American.
Yeah.
I love American, and that was through my aunt Joyce, who when she used to work when she used to work for American Airlines, I flew with her all the time. And then when she retired,
I didn't know that about Joyce, that she worked for American
for
Airlines.
10 years, I believe. So I used to fly with her up there, and then whenever she stopped working there, then I flew myself. So I had to start taking
You
care of
still
them.
get those buddy passes?
Oh, I don't need more, but at the time
Oh,
they were quite wonderful. I credit
they
her
was, yeah,
with me being able to travel as much as I was, because otherwise I
right.
wouldn't have been able to at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but I want to know more about your career, because I actually don't. And for our audience, because one of the things we do with this podcast is our goal is to either send the elevator back down or help the next generation. And I feel since you've had such an illustrious career, it would be amazing to actually hear your start from how you got into that, where you went to college, and a bit of your story. I think that would be important. I can get to myself later or during the time, but it's really important to me because I'm curious myself, and for your family if they don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Friday.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So, we're determined. I think we're artistic or creative. Um, I don't know where to begin with my story. I think sometimes you want to begin at the beginning, and then sometimes maybe you should jump in the middle. But anyway, most of my career, I worked as a news producer
Okay.
Okay.
for NBC News. And that started out in Washington after I was invited as a rising senior at Temple University to go to Washington, and I did because
Mhm.
they were paying for a first class train ticket
Okay.
Mm.
and lunch with the news director. And being a hardworking journalism student, a free lunch and first class sounded pretty good. But
Yes.
anyway, I worked in documentaries for that summer, and I hadn't actually thought a lot about documentaries, but it gave me a lot of insight into the human condition.
Okay.
Mm.
News is you go there, there's a story, you cover it. If you're lucky, you get a minute and 30 seconds. But I had that summer in documentaries, and I think that really impacted the way I looked at myself as a journalist and as a producer.
Okay. What kind of documentaries were you doing back then?
Yeah, so the first one I can remember was a documentary on welfare.
Ooh,
And that was the fact that, and I'm going back a long time.
it's okay. We like history. History's important.
I'm going back decades. But anyway, there was this concern about what were people were was the medical profession, those that administer, were they exploiting people? Were they actually putting people on their roles that weren't actually welfare recipients?
Mhm.
So if you went out to a really plush area of Maryland or Virginia, where wouldn't you expect too many? But yet these doctors had this, role of welfare recipients. So that was part of the first documentary that I did. And also I was meeting recipients of people who were on, welfare. We say welfare, that was the term in the day. And the elderly were concerned about what kind of burial they would have.
Mm.
Mm.
What am I going to be buried in? I've worked hard all my life and I don't have enough money to pay for it. So again, that human element was in there for me. So that gave me an opportunity also to do some investigative reporting. But
Mhm.
we did this documentary on the fact that there are people in welfare through no fault of their own
Mhm.
who are
Mhm.
concerned about their last days. And Brandon, you won't believe this, but guess who I met? You won't guess. Roberta Flack.
Really?
Oh.
Before her first album, First Take,
Oh,
because
wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
one of the women that we interviewed was her neighbor.
Okay.
Mm.
And Roberta Flack used to play to call Mr. Henry.
Yes, ma'am.
And this was just before First Take came out. So she was playing there. So we filmed her there, and we filmed this welfare recipient who came there to watch her. We
Okay.
set all that up. So that was my first, checking out somebody who would rise to the fame
Mhm.
that she has as well. And I think my career sort of moved between those kinds of famous people, people who would, for whatever reason, were known to the world. And then there were people like her neighbor
Hmm.
who was just worried about, well, what is my coffin going to be made of? Is it cardboard?
Mm.
Will I fall out when they're taking me, into the church? So that summer influenced me a lot
Okay.
um, in my career. And I think probably some of the things that I had experienced growing up, it formed me. And I hope that I still have that perspective.
Okay.
Um, that I look at everybody and try and understand their circumstances,
Oh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
you know, whatever they are. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and then I had this sort of fortune that I think young people today graduating in communications and journalism would kill for.
Okay.
Mhm.
People say that in our business, right? I would kill for that. But I mean,
Mm.
NBC picked me up, and I worked in news, had some more opportunities to do documentaries over the years. I was there for Watergate.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah,
That's a
I
heck of a
was
time to
there.
be. I mean, that's like,
It was a heck of a time to be there, and
Mhm.
I still have memories of it. I
Mm.
can still remember, and back in the day, this is even, when cameras did live shots, etc. Things got set up so far in advance because of the technology. And I can remember right now, I can still visualize Nixon sitting there waiting to go on the air and that sort of sweaty bit over his upper lip and him being nervous and twitchy. And just looking at him, this is the president of the United States, and I'm watching him in these unguarded moments.
Mm.
Mhm.
He's waiting to go on the air. But I mean, everybody knows the story of Watergate, but the show that I eventually produced, 11 o'clock news for WRC TV, we totally devoted that to Watergate.
Okay.
Mhm.
So every day we were finding out. We weren't breaking news, but we were jumping on it after it happened.
Mm.
Hmm.
Um, what insights into politics and the way Washington worked.
Seriously.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
So
man, that's
looking
that'll.
at it, sorry.
No, 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 no. You're good. I'm just.
I'm just saying,
Like
looking at it
blown away.
today, it's like, oh, okay, we've seen.
360.
Yeah,
Listen.
with a top spin on it.
Yes, that's correct. Vivian, it is so great talking with you. And you've
Yeah,
worn
yeah,
many
yeah.
hats. I understand you've worn many hats. You've been a journalist, an author, producer, cultural historian. When you look back, what thread do you see connecting all of that work?
You know what? I'm going to go back to being a Friday
Okay.
again because I just think that sometimes it's fate. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pursue any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I think I had prepared myself for whatever happens,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have this plan. I didn't have anything charted out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I was studying journalism, I was thinking I would go into writing, and I had some offers from different newspapers.
Oh wow.
But I spent that summer in DC out of the blue only because I thought, oh, first class trip
Mm-hmm.
Oh
to DC and lunch in a posh restaurant.
yes, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but then I got caught up in documentaries and the visual aspect of it.
Okay.
But I never forgot that I wanted to write as well. So there was
Yeah.
always, I was either writing in a journal
Mm-hmm.
or, somehow or another expressing myself in writing. So
Mm-hmm.
and I'll fast forward to 4 years in Botswana, um,
Wow.
that there was an opportunity for me to start writing. So, um,
Mm.
Okay.
So family has really influenced your background, your sense of responsibility and
I
history and purpose.
yeah, I think so. But family circumstances,
Uh-huh.
experiences, they all influence everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think unless you're hell bent on being a billionaire
Hmm.
and that's all you're focused on, and you
Uh-huh.
don't care what happens along the way, I think you do let other things influence you. You let other people
Mm-hmm.
influence you. Um, you care about things. You want to impact certain circumstances.
Uh-huh.
So, as I said, I didn't have a clear career path other than I knew I wanted to write. And
Uh-huh.
that continues to be something, that vein is through everything I do, right up
Mm-hmm.
until right now. If
Oh,
I'm
wow.
even if I'm sending out a report or what, in as chair of the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission, I really think about the writing aspect of it. So I,
Mm.
I think I stay true to my writing.
Oh,
Um,
Yes. Well, I had a question for you. What kind of goes on behind the scenes? Because you, with being a
mhm.
producer, what can someone expect if someone were to go into that field? What kind of background would you give for them with saying, "Hey, producing for NBC"? Because I feel like most people would probably want to produce for NBC. That's a big, I would say that's probably like the staple that most people want to work for.
well, when I finished my summer, and I call it internship, even though that's what it wasn't called that back then, it was just an opportunity.
Mhm.
And I came back, and the news director said, "Well, what do you want to do? We're hiring you. What do you want to do?" And someone took me aside, and I can't remember who that person was.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think it might have been a producer, but he said, if you get in front of the camera, you're always going to have to think about your looks and who likes you and who doesn't, and when you age out. And so he said, but if you're behind the camera, you've got you can have a career.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm.
And I heard that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I thought,
But you're beautiful.
Yeah, you're absolutely stunning.
You're
yeah, I don't want to
beautiful.
get up in the morning and look at my face and think, oh no, or worry about it. Or I have a friend who's been in television for years, and she sleeps on like 10 pillows to make sure her chin doesn't start. So, no, I don't want to do that.
Mm.
So yeah, so let me get behind the camera as I had been, as associate producer, which is the title they gave me
Mhm.
on there. So I think the most important thing, and that depends on what level you go in, because now
Mhm.
going in a local level,
Mhm.
you're everything. You're the camera person, you're the reporter, you're interviewing. You've got to put your package together. And a lot of it's done in cars. Um, so you've got to do a bit of everything. When I was there, we had a camera. It was a camera crew,
Yes,
lighting,
ma'am.
sound, cameras. You took your film back and then your video back, and you work with the editor who knew more than you did.
Mhm.
I think now, if I was advising somebody who wanted to be a producer, I would say get to know your subjects
Okay.
as quickly as you can. Be as respectful as you can. Um, and think very carefully about the questions you ask in an interview so that
Mm.
you're getting the most out of that person.
Mhm.
And learn how to use your camera other than just doing straight
Oh,
shot.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and you've probably seen that. It drives me nuts.
Oh,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, you have to know those angles. And
get
yeah.
creative with the camera. I know you don't have somebody
Mm.
looking at it for you, but try and do something, a little bit creative.
Okay.
Mm.
But
That's
it's
good
hard to
advice.
get into this now. You got to do so much.
Yes,
Mm.
ma'am. I know that. So one of my favorite professor at University of South Carolina, he's actually probably my favorite. He's my favorite teacher ever, and his name is Professor Randy Covington, and he worked. I
I
think at
know
the,
Randy Covington.
oh my
Oh,
God. Okay,
really?
yeah. So Randy
Well,
Covington is
he
my
was
mentor.
he was news director at WIS.
Yes,
Oh.
ma'am.
And he used to ask me to be, I was a guest lecturer at his classes.
Mm.
You're gonna love this. I guess I have been a guest speaker at I think a total of 7 of his classes,
Yeah,
and I love Professor Covington or Randy Covington, and
Randy Covington.
he's
Yeah.
he's had the biggest impact on me. He's one of the reasons that I wanted to go into television because he brought in when I did a paper for his class on it was about capital punishment. I ended up getting the highest grade that he ever gave. He asked me if he could keep the paper so he could use it for other classes to show them.
Wow. Yes.
And he ended up bringing in Craig Melvin. And Craig Melvin came in and was a guest speaker. And I was like, man, that's really cool what Craig does. Maybe I could be in TV too. So I love Professor Covington. He's been on the show too.
Okay.
He was my first
He was
episode.
on the very first show.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I haven't been in touch with him in quite a few years. I think pre-COVID.
I'll give you his
Mm.
number if you need it.
I think I probably still have it unless it's changed. It's not. It's a small
What a
world.
small world. It really is a
It really
small world.
is. It really is.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, yeah.
question: Did you get Emmys too during your time of? Have you ever had an Emmy during your time of producing or anything like that?
Actually, the first one, well, because I went into news more than, but we did a documentary on Frederick Douglass.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
This was back in, and again that summer, and
Mhm.
that won an Emmy.
Oh, wow, amazing! Congratulations! Yeah.
But I did
Mhm.
get, and then I think the only other time when I was recognized was Susan. I did Susan Smith, if you remember her.
Yeah, I remember.
She does.
No,
Hmm.
I'm not familiar. I don't think I'm familiar personally with Susan Smith.
Yeah,
She was the woman who drowned her children
from
in.
South Carolina.
Oh,
uh,
was that a couple years? Was that like
um,
10 years ago, maybe, or longer ago?
no, that was a
Mm.
lot longer.
Longer, longer,
Okay.
longer.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking 93, 94.
Okay. Now, here's another question I had to ask you along those lines. It seems like news is kind of. I remember when I was in journalism school at University of South Carolina and ethics and the way news. You're supposed to be unbiased. I believe is what it is supposed to be the case.
Objective.
Yes, ma'am. But it seems like the news has kind of changed more for entertainment purposes. Some news stations, not all, and you don't have to say specifically ones, but it seems like it's kind of changed the way things are done now.
I think so, but I have to confess, that, news is work for me.
Yes, ma'am.
So I tend to listen to it more than I actually sit down and watch what's going on. I think maybe the three networks that were around, ABC's, NBC, CBS. I don't think that has impacted them so much. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with CBS
Mm.
right
Mhm.
now. But yes, once you had multiple channels, and I was out of the country when all this was happening, when you had to compete more for people's attention of your audience,
Ah.
yeah, I think entertainment did come into it.
Mhm.
And of course, people had different ways of wanting to digest news or snippets
Mhm.
of it or whatever. So it's completely I say again with the three networks, and then I don't know, I'm not familiar with Fox News, I have to be honest.
Oh, it's all right. I don't.
Yeah. But I think maybe there is that entertainment element in it.
Mhm.
And I think when it goes back to it, it's about ratings. It's about
Okay.
how much you can sell, how much, you can charge for an ad. But that's always been there. I think the big change was actually with the FCC.
Okay.
Because once they were very strict about, we had to produce a certain amount of news. The idea is if you get a license, you're obligated to produce what we call public service.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that's gone, by the way. So nobody has to do that
Oh
anymore.
wow. Hmm.
Um,
Well,
but it's
that's
still a great field to get into. And you've got NPR, I mean, there's still incredible reporting that takes place, whether it's,
mhm.
it's through a podcast or it's it's a documentary I just saw the most fascinating documentary
Okay.
the weekend, and it was called The Stringer.
Okay. What was it about?
I think it was on Canopy.
Okay.
It's something I get through my library service. But I don't know if you've ever seen that image of that little girl who had been burned by napalm during the
On
Vietnam War.
Vietnam War.
Iconic. Okay, I remember when that came out. So this documentary was about the fact that the photographer who that image was attributed to was not, in fact, the photographer.
Really?
No. And it's called The Stringer if you get a chance to watch
Mhm.
it. It was someone who was a stringer for Associated Press.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And this journalist went back and did an incredible amount of research to determine how he could prove who was the actual
Photographer.
author of that photograph.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Because you think how profound it was. It was really the turning point in the Vietnam War.
Mhm.
It was the first time they actually had a nude photograph of a young child, which normally it didn't happen. So it broke all these rules, but it had an incredible impact. And then the person who was attributed with that photograph won a Pulitzer Prize for it. I mean,
Mhm.
throughout his entire career, he accepted all the accolades that belonged to somebody else.
Wow. That is not very ethical to say the least.
Well, and I would the reason I bring it up is because the people that finally confessed to it all those years later, it was on their chest and they had to.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean,
Yeah.
so that's a kind of redeeming feature, what I hope still exists.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
That, whatever happens, at some point in time, you come back and say, you know what? I'm a journalist. I have these ethics, and before I leave this earth, I want to put this right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary documentary.
Yeah.
It's called
And
The
listening,
Stringer. Sorry, mom. Go ahead.
yeah, I wanted to say, and listening to you say that, Vivian, uh, why is documenting truth still such a critical responsibility today? Because I'm hearing you exactly what you're saying. And so could you just tell us a little bit why that needs to be?
Well, when you have somebody in the White House saying alternative facts,
Mm-hmm.
there is truth.
Mm-hmm.
There's truth, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
to go back to that image of that girl who was burned by napalm,
Mm-hmm.
even when she was presented with the facts, she wanted to stick with what her recollection of it was, that that photographer who she assumed photographed her was also the one that picked her up and took her to the hospital. All of that was disproved, but she needed to believe that because that's
Mhm.
what she lived with. And she's an ambassador for, peace, but
Mhm.
sometimes people want to stick with what they want to believe is the truth, but there is just the truth.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's it, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you can't you can't have alternative facts.
that's correct.
And you can't misshape the truth. There is just
Mhm.
something that is the truth, and I think that we can't let go of that. We can't
Mhm.
say that somebody can interpret it. Um, they're just things that are staunch. It's
Okay,
staunch facts
I understand.
that make up the truth. So
Yeah.
Vivian, I had a question for you. You said you worked in New York too. So I'm going to hit two things here. I was curious about. You worked in New York as well during that time, or
well, no, NBC, as you know, is at 30 Rock, 30
yes,
Rockefeller.
ma'am. Yeah, right there.
So we all get our marching orders from there. But the bureau that I worked in was the Atlanta Bureau, which doesn't
Mhm.
Okay.
exist. It doesn't exist. But yeah, so I'll go back a bit. I left NBC News. I became engaged,
Okay.
and my husband worked at the World Bank, and he was asked by the government of Botswana to help them. They were starting to realize the possibilities through their diamonds and their minerals and things like that. And
Mhm.
he'd been as a he part of his assignment in the I'm trying to think what his title was right now, I just slipped my mind. But anyway, Botswana was one of his countries.
Okay. Oh
So
wow,
yeah. So I went to Botswana. I lived there for 4 years.
man,
And yeah,
what was
Mm.
that like? Did you?
life changing, life changing.
That bad?
Again, I had somebody come to me and tell me something that turned out to be very wise. And he was I think he might have been born in South Africa. This
Okay.
was during apartheid, Brandon.
Mhm.
Interesting. So you guys,
Very interesting.
yeah. So for people that don't, people my age might not know what that is. Basically, it was segregation. They were segregated, like whites and blacks
It,
had separate.
it was Southern segregation on steroids. I mean, it was
Mhm.
yeah. It was unbelievable that level of oppression that Black South Africans were living under. But anyway, not all white South Africans were like that.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Anyway, this man lived in Botswana. He worked for the government. And he came over I was in DC at the time, still working at NBC News, but prepared to go, get married and go to Botswana. And he said to me, don't imagine that you're returning to Africa. Don't think that people are going to see you like you're going to, you're going to go back to the mother country.
Yes, ma'am.
They don't see you that way. You're you're Black American.
Mhm.
And and that was very good advice. Not that I think I was going to go there with that thought, but I realized that maybe I had to go there with my eyes wider open than they might have been.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
But I still remember the morning when we landed in Nairobi. We flew from London to Rome,
Oh,
uh, and then stopped in Nairobi, and it was just before dawn. And I'll never forget that moment.
Mhm.
That was
that.
my personal moment of saying, yeah, but I have come back to the mother country. Just between me and myself, I am, um,
Yes, ma'am. And then, and you lived. You guys lived in. I think Dad said this right. Make sure I'm having this straight. You guys lived in the United Kingdom for a bit, didn't you?
yeah, I did. I think 15 years.
In London or somewhere else, or just all over? Because I was
Well,
just in London in
in
September.
London, and we had a house in the country as
Okay.
well. So when you were talking to Jeffrey, our cousin Jeffrey, he talked about the Barbican. So we lived in there's a Barbican, there's this cultural center there, which
Okay.
was being built when we first moved to London. And he performed there. And I thought, was I there
Oh
when
wow! Right.
when he was performing? Because I'd go back and forth
Yes, ma'am.
between Wiltshire and then to the Barbican.
Oh wow. Who
Mhm.
knows, right? It's such a small
Who
world.
knows? It's such a small world.
It is.
Yeah.
So I went to when I went over to London, it was definitely
Did you,
different.
you went to London recently? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I was there
Your
for
first trip.
3.5 weeks, and I stayed in London and I stayed in Essex.
Okay.
And honestly, like at first, I was like, "Oh man, I don't know if I can handle this." But I ended up like in retrospect, I really loved it. Like when I got used to everything and getting around, you know what it is? It reminded me of New York to me
London.
personally.
Yeah. Well,
But I had a
yeah, I
great
mean
time. There was all
it's
kinds of things.
multicultural. Um, I mean, I love London too. Who can't love
Yeah,
London?
yeah,
And of course, it's steeped in history.
yeah.
So there's so much there. But you got to go back. You got a cousin over there. Anne is over there now. She's in Devon.
Oh, I didn't realize she moved over there.
Yeah, she did this summer.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know why I feel like I almost knew that, or someone told me that, or for some reason I kind of knew that loosely, but
Yeah.
not fully. How are the kids doing?
Well,
All?
and guess who's in London? Elizabeth.
Oh, she's going to school out there now, or she just lives there?
She just finished she got a master's degree.
Wow.
From
I remember, can I say something? I remember the beautiful wedding of you had for your daughter on that
Oh, wasn't that a
estate.
lot of fun?
Beautiful. And I could not remember exactly, was that in South Carolina? I know David and I
Yeah, it
uh,
was. It was out, yeah, it was part of Charleston. Well, she got married at the Citadel, and
uh-huh.
then we rented a plantation, Lowndes Grove, and that's where
I mean, I had never experienced a
on the
wedding.
Ashley River. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I just see that now. I'd never experienced something so fabulous. And I tell you, and your daughter, that's your daughter Anne now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and any grandchildren there?
no, those are the three.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Elizabeth,
get
Toby, and is that right? Elizabeth.
Thomas.
Uh,
Thomas.
okay, that's right. I'm sorry.
Elizabeth, yeah, yeah. But I mean, they were just bowled over to meet you, Brandon. I remember. I wasn't there, but I heard all about it.
Oh, yeah, we have a picture together, all three of us.
Yeah, they were just so thrilled.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a big moment for them when,
Oh, it's for me too. They have other family out there, and I know Dad was big on meeting family from all over, so
uh,
I always enjoyed seeing them.
yeah,
Yeah, no, so she got a master's from college in England.
yeah, she did.
Man, well, what college do you know?
Yeah, the University of, wait a minute, Exeter.
Okay, that's
Yeah, she got
extremely
her master's degree, and she did it in like record time in a year and a half. She got it.
holy
Um,
smokes.
but she lives in London.
Okay.
She's she's having fun and starting out her career as an artist. So you were there with her. I mean,
I should have. You know what? I should have contacted you before I decided to go because I had no idea that they were over there. Because I literally could have
yeah,
seen them while I was there.
she lives in. But you can still get in touch with her.
Yes,
So
ma'am. Okay, I'll have to get her
if you go
information.
back, but Anne is in Devon.
Okay.
Toby's going to a private school, looking like Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, I
Everything.
went and saw some of the schools over there. They were amazing.
Yeah.
And so also I had a question for you. Will you tell us a bit about the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission a little bit and what it's like being a chair, what that involves?
Yeah, I again phone call. That's what I'm saying. And one of Anne's neighbors had knew someone who was on the South Carolina Archives and History
Okay.
Commission.
uh-huh.
And all of a sudden I was getting phone calls saying, we're trying to get a hold of you. We think we'd like for you to be on the South Carolina African American Heritage. What? Who? So it turned out one of Anne's neighbors had spoken to this commissioner who was looking. She said, "No, we're looking for some new members." And she said, "Oh, let me recommend Vivian." And so I got vetted. The
Mhm.
Palmetto Club in Columbia, if you're familiar with it.
That's one. Is that the one that's on the top of that building? Or no?
No, that's not. That's the one top of the bank. No, this is I'm trying to think what street it's on. Anyway, it's a private club.
Okay.
A lot of elected officials and so I'm going there and I'm still thinking it's a free lunch, right?
Yeah.
So and the menu had chili and bass. So
Oh.
but
Uh,
anyway,
And I like that fish.
I went there and I'm kind of feeling my way and trying to figure out what have I been invited to? Okay.
Mhm.
And eventually I found out that two of our governors, one created a council, and the idea was that South Carolina began to recognize the history of Black South Carolinians, basically. And the mission was to promote that, protect it, research it. So I got on board right away. I've always loved history.
Yes, ma'am.
And after 3 years, again, the chair at the time says, I think you should chair the commission.
Mhm.
And I was very reluctant to do it. I didn't feel I was qualified.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
There were people on there that had, been on there far longer than I had. You had people with PhDs,
Yes, ma'am.
But I think, I felt that if you've been asked to do this, you should do it
Mhm.
Absolutely.
because, this is, you're serving your
Yes,
state.
ma'am.
And so it's a year this in January, I will have been chair. And I have the commissioners are the most amazing group of people,
Really.
Mhm.
incredibly talented and motivated. It's such an honor when
Yes,
I
ma'am.
Mhm.
think about it. And I spent almost every day, I put some time into it, even, it's all volunteer.
Yes,
Mhm.
ma'am.
But it's a great honor. And we launched our independent website in September.
Mhm.
So anybody who wants to go in there can look at what we do. I think one of the most important things that we're doing is we're including research
Yes, ma'am.
so that, any scholars who present their works to us, it's there for people to look at. So that's a resource.
Yes, ma'am.
We talk about all the places of significance to African Americans in South Carolina. Um, we've got a conference every year in February. This February is on the 28th.
Okay.
And we're thrilled that Dr. Bobby Donaldson, who is known throughout South Carolina, he's at USC,
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
the Civil Rights Center there. And also, he is going to be in conversation with Congressman Jim Clyburn.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're so excited about having them there.
Mhm.
That's a keynote event. But the conference goes on all day. Again, it's on our website.
Yes, ma'am.
People
Mhm.
can
What's
see.
the website? Do you know it by heart
Yeah,
or?
it's SCAAHC, so South Carolina African American. So SCAAHC.org.
Okay.
But if you put in South Carolina African American Heritage Commission, it'll pop up.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey,
Yeah.
Vivian, one quick question. What are the biggest threats you see to the African American historic sites right now in stories?
And I was asked this question. I was at Sala
Uh-huh.
in in Atlanta in September, and I was asked to be on a panel discussing that
Mm-hmm.
because obviously so many government organizations feel threatened,
Mm-hmm.
especially with their funding. And I'm here to say that that has not been something we've had to contend with.
Really?
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm very
Okay.
proud of that fact.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're funded by the government. I make sure we don't waste a penny of it because it's taxpayer money. So
Mm-hmm.
if somebody goes on a conference or whatever, I said, okay, we have to write a report
Mm-hmm.
about what it was what it was, how we benefited from it, and share it with the other commissioners
Uh-huh.
so that we can show that we're doing the work. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
so I would say we're prepared if suddenly things shift.
Uh-huh.
They haven't. And I'm
Yes, ma'am.
very grateful to that. But I think we're positioned to show that what we're doing with the budget we have is
Okay.
not only benefiting Black South Carolinians, but all of South Carolina.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
and I'm hoping that we're also attracting tourists because we're
Mm-hmm.
telling them where to go, things that places they may not have heard of or know about.
Uh-huh.
For instance, Mepkin Abbey. A lot of people haven't heard, where's Mepkin Abbey? And it's in Berkeley County. And it was once the home of the Luce family, Time magazine.
Oh, wow. Really?
Before that, it belonged to a man named Henry Lawrence, who was one of, if not the biggest slave owner probably in the South.
Oh, wow.
He had over 300 slaves. So there's this vast plantation that some of which became the Luce family
Mm,
South Carolina home, and then it was turned over to Trappist monks. It's called Mepkin Abbey. And
Yep.
mm,
earlier this year, I think maybe
mhm,
it's gone. They opened this garden of meditation and I'm sorry, meditation, and I can't think of the other term right now. But
That's
anyway,
okay.
it's a place to go to and learn about the slaves who were on that plantation, which
mm,
was rice plantation,
mhm,
which is the
mhm,
worst kind of work to do as a slave.
Oh,
mm,
wow.
So there's this place you can go to and learn about those slaves that perished
mm,
in those rice fields that were
mhm,
created there, and you can still look out on the area where all that took place. But
mhm,
that's the kind of thing you can find in our website, the history of that. So it's
mm.
Mepkin, MEP for Paul, KIN, Mepkin Abbey.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, and it's worth going there to just
Mm.
to see it, and a place that's made sacred in
yes, ma'am.
memory of the slaves. So that's the kind of thing you can find on our website.
Oh, this is great. One thing with everyday people, which we deal with on the show, how can we help preserve history, or even if they're not historians? If I'm not a historian, how can I or Brandon we help preserve his history?
Get people to tell their stories,
Hmm.
Okay.
or the stories that they heard from their parents or their grandparents or their great grandparents,
Okay.
because otherwise, so much of it will be lost.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things I do is I travel around the state
Mm-hmm.
representing the commission, and oftentimes an unveiling of a historic marker,
Mm-hmm.
some of which we funded, and I hear stories.
Hmm.
People want to tell their stories,
Mm-hmm.
and they're so important because our history hasn't been told, and yet there's over 300 years of it. That's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of history. That's a lot of stories.
It
Yes.
really
A
is.
lot of lives, a lot of resilience, a lot of bravery, a lot of courage,
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of brilliance,
Mm-hmm.
and oftentimes they may not get beyond that circle. Sometimes, especially with slavery, sometimes there was a time when people were ashamed of that, the
Mm.
fact that their ancestors were slaves, and I go like they survived.
Yeah.
That's
You to
right.
be here, that in itself is heroic.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Mm.
This country was built on slavery. The
That's right.
wealth in this country, the slavery, we generated that wealth.
Mm.
Um, book I'm reading right now is called Mother Emanuel.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah. And at first I was thinking, oh, I covered that story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So was I going to go back there and relive that pain? Because it really was
Mm-hmm.
painful. I'm just looking. Kevin Sack is the author. He's a Pulitzer Prize winning writer for the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a brilliant book.
Hmm.
And it talks about Charleston, and it begins even before the first settlers were there, because in the 1500s you had blacks who were part of a settlement that didn't last. But he takes you that far back into Charleston and
Mm-hmm.
then builds up to, okay, let me explain how we got to Mother Emanuel.
Yes.
So it talks about the black religion. It talks about it is an extraordinary book. And
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded the audio version, and I thought, you know what? This is a hardback book that I want to be able to put my hands on. So I've ordered, I'm waiting for it.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
okay.
And I hope one day I meet Kevin Sack,
Wow.
because I he is an incredible writer. And
Yes.
this is so important. So to answer your question, it's all about the stories that if we piece them together.
Mm-hmm.
We'll never have a full fabric. We'll never have a full tapestry,
Okay.
but we'll have some parts that we can look at and talk about and feel proud of.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
ma'am. Vivian, I wanted to say, when you said it earlier, but I think this is a reason. I believe sometimes you're called or you're chosen. And I believe the reason that you were chosen for this chair is literally everything you said. Well, they have people that have PhD. just because you have a PhD doesn't mean that you have the life experience. And look at all the places you have lived, the lives that you've impacted, and then your attention to detail and knowing history.
Mm-hmm.
Without us even having to look at that website, you've told us so much information. And I don't know if, sure, a PhD person could do that, but you have that instinctual ability to do that. Plus, you've been in that field to where you were born to do this and help out in this position. To where I try to say sometimes that having that worldly travel helps out people more than maybe being so book smart. You are clearly book smart too, but having that real world experience. So I think that's why you've been chosen for this position. I think they have the right person for it, because look at you going into detail and finding out these different, it seems like from the moment you've taken over this position, you've gone into detail about finding out these different historical things about South Carolina's history. So I think that you were beyond, whether God given or fate, or it was, you were chosen to do this part, and you're doing it phenomenally. So I wanted to say that to you.
I am humbled by it, Brandon. I really am. And as I say, it, whatever, for whatever reason, whatever I can give, I'm going to give.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And because we should be, I keep saying to people, South Carolina, we have all the stories, we have all the history, we have everything,
Yes, ma'am.
And yeah, there are other places there too, but there's something, and Charleston is a big part of the Low Country, but then I'm learning more
Mm-hmm.
about the Upstate. And something else, I was very fortunate, another phone call, another lunch.
Food's the key.
Who's key? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And there was someone who'd gotten funding, a lot of it from her family. She was a descendant from a place called Woodlands Plantation, which was in Bamberg.
Okay. Oh, we know Bamberg very well.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So anyway, it's called Woodlands Plantation, and she'd gotten this funding, and she wanted to make this documentary about her family, the descendants of Woodlands Plantation, the slaved and the enslaved slavers. And so they said, well, okay, you can do this, but you got to have a black person in there. Again, somebody out the blue said, reach out to Vivian Glover. So over lunch, I had my doubts about this because her idea was, we loved each other.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
We were good to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, oh no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Did they have any choice? But anyway, so I made it, I was as honest as I could be to say, look, I will work on this project with you,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't pretend that the slaves loved the enslavers because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, let's try and be honest with this. It was a difficult journey for both of us. Me, because I wasn't going to compromise, and for her, because there were so many painful lessons, especially when we contacted some of the descendants of the enslaved,
Yes, ma'am.
and they were honest
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah.
about, yeah, about, yes, well, my grandmother looked after, your cousin or whatever, but guess what? They never had any time for their own children, or, we didn't get paid, or we got the scraps from, so it was all of that. But it told part of the story. It was South Carolina.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just think there's so many stories like that. So Shared History is the name of the documentary. You can go
Okay.
on
Shared
the
history.
website. The documentary is on there. One of the things I'm pleased about is that she gave all the outtakes to the Caroliniana,
Mm-hmm.
because there really is a lot there. At the end of the day, I wouldn't sign off on the documentary until certain things had to be included. Not
Okay.
everything I wanted to be included was on there,
Hey, amen.
but guess what? It's at the Caroliniana.
Okay. That's
People can go there if they want to know everything that was filmed and what people had to say. It's extraordinary, but I think that's unique to South Carolina. We had so much going on in the state. We were part of the civil rights movement.
yeah.
I know Alabama and Mississippi, but in our own way, we did.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we still do. So
Mm-hmm.
people like Dr. Bobby Donaldson doing what they're doing at USC to make sure that our story is told. So I can't think of a better place to be. and be from and be
Yes,
proud of.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to say was, first off, anyone that you know that might want to come in here, feel free to let them know that, hey, we're more than welcome to have them on the Buckle Up podcast.
I think you should talk to Dr. Bobby Donaldson.
Okay, I'll either have to get his number from you or I can give a call to the university. Either or would work.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him and Cecil Williams. You may
Okay.
not have heard of him.
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Cecil Williams, and you can look him up. Cecil Williams, from about the age of 9, he took an iconic photograph too, which it belongs to him.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
He took a picture, I think he was 13 or 14.
Okay.
He was being mentored, and he went to Charleston with the photographer. Black photography is fascinating in itself. I don't
Yes,
think enough has been done about what we were chronicling.
yes, ma'am.
But anyway, he went to Charleston, um, and he said he had one flash bulb. He took this photograph of Thurgood Marshall.
I know Cecil Williams. Go ahead. I
You know
just recalled
Cecil?
that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just recall who you're talking.
yeah.
Yes, I
Cecil took this photograph of Thurgood Marshall, who
know.
was so prominent in the early civil rights movement, long before we were hearing about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and stuff.
Mhm,
He took a picture of Thurgood Marshall getting off the train in Charleston,
mhm,
which is it says so much because Thurgood Marshall was working with groups like my dad's
mhm,
to get people, say, look, we're going to take this one step at a time. We get these petitions. We're going to get them to put the proper books and supplies into the schools. They understood that they weren't, Brown versus the Board of Education wasn't going to do everything that needed to be done straight
mhm,
away, but they could take steps. And Thurgood Marshall was very much a part of that. Cecil Williams took that photograph, and he continued to take photographs of students, mainly from Claflin, which was in Claflin College, because Claflin College, being a private Methodist funded
mhm,
school, could do more than South Carolina State, which was state funded.
Yes, ma'am.
mhm,
They could come down on the president and the faculty. But he took so many photographs of these students, being carted off to jail
mhm,
and just standing up marching. He single-handedly chronicled the civil rights movement in South Carolina.
Really? Oh,
mhm,
wow.
Yes. And then when he couldn't find a place for all his photographs and memorabilia and everything he collected, he turned his house into a museum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now the city is building him a museum.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, wow.
If you're familiar with South Carolina State and Claflin, and the section that was called the Railroad Corner Stores, it's over there, and that's going to open up
mhm.
soon. But
Oh, wow.
Cecil Williams is somebody else you must. As a matter of fact, there's
Wasn't Cecil from Orangeburg? Excuse me, not to cut you off. Wasn't
yeah,
he from?
he's
Yeah,
born and bred in Orangeburg.
yeah. I thought so. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Cecil took a picture of himself drinking out of a whites only fountain.
Uh-huh.
Is that the guy? Is he light skinned? Like really light skinned?
That's him. You've probably seen that photograph.
Yeah.
He was Actively Black, which is this company. I think they're out in LA or somewhere. Anyway, they turned that into a T-shirt. It's a
I have
picture
seen
of him.
that photo.
You've seen that. That's
Yeah,
Cecil when he was 18
absolutely.
years old.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
wow. Okay.
That's,
Yeah, I'll
that's
definitely, I'll have to reach out and find a way to
yeah.
find him. I would love to have him on here.
Yeah,
And then, sorry, go
I
ahead.
have, yeah, he's a very dear friend.
Oh,
So
I'd love to. I would absolutely love to. On social media, they have this thing about like, it's not like memes, but it's basically like people throughout Black history that stood up to certain things, and it's him.
yeah,
They have that.
he did.
They
That's
have
him.
that photo of him doing that, and they did a little bit of background, but it's one of those
Yeah.
things. Like,
He's a real Renaissance man. He really
yeah,
is.
Oh, oh,
I
Yeah.
absolutely love that.
Yeah,
hey,
and somebody had a fashion show in New York not too long ago, and
wow.
they had him wear that, like a hoodie with that on it.
Okay.
And Cecil's got to be in his late 80s, I'm
Yes,
guessing.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
no, I'd absolutely love
that's
to have him on here. And
yeah.
then,
Vivian, as Mama Rush, and I want to ask you, and Carolyn, you know me by Carolyn, but Mama Rush,
Yeah, I
the
think I'll call you
audience knows me
Carol.
by Mama.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, the audience knows me as Mama Rush. But with that said, how do you stay grounded now when your work places and you have to go and work certain rooms that call power, so-called power, not power, whatever? How do you stay grounded in all of that?
I think in my house, my home.
Hmm.
I live in the middle of the woods, but I'm still in the city of in city of Orangeburg.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I get out and do some yard work.
Uh-huh.
It was really important to me when I came back from horrific stories,
Uh-huh.
to just get dug into doing some work.
Oh.
Um, and if you're outside and you're working, whatever you're doing, all of a sudden you're counting your blessings.
Mm-hmm.
You're just thinking, especially as I said, I've covered a lot of tragic stories,
Yes.
and just knowing that you tried to be as decent and as understanding, even
Mm-hmm.
when you got sticking a microphone at somebody, to come back and just sort of meditate and think
Mm-hmm.
about um, just the world around you and
Yes.
what happens to people sometimes through no circumstances, nothing that they
Mm-hmm.
brought on themselves. But yeah, I come back here and find peace, find equilibrium again, and I
Yeah.
still do that even when I go out now, as I
Uh-huh.
travel a lot as chair.
Uh-huh.
I come back to be grateful that
Mm.
I've had the opportunity to meet with people that are so heroic and so
Yes, ma'am.
courageous, and known maybe just in their community, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
Oh, wow.
uh,
That's
Vivian, I had a question for you. If
yeah.
you wouldn't mind. So because
Yeah,
I
but
want
we're
to.
supposed to be talking about you at some point,
Oh,
right?
it's
but
all
yeah,
good.
yeah.
You can always have me back. But I
But
wanted
you
to
are
ask you
so
this question.
interesting, Vivian. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, and your travels and your work, and that's why we like. Wait a minute, we just want to hear your stories. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yes, ma'am. Vivian, I had a question about your connection with first off your dad. Would love to know more about because your dad's a Friday side, then how you ended up. I guess what did he say? Jeffrey said it wasn't 23andMe. It was something else that he ended up
Oh
using.
yeah, ancestry.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Would you
I,
explain what got you to do that and all of that?
this I yeah, I'm gonna I don't know. Okay, my mother, my grandparents didn't stay. They separated.
Yes, ma'am.
Jarecki, Maurice Jarecki was my grandfather.
Okay.
Mhm.
Know a lot about the Fridays because my grandmother just sort of did that. My mother wasn't introduced to her family that often, the Friday side of the family that often. So I didn't know anything about him. I knew
Yes,
my
ma'am.
grandfather died when I was about 4,
Okay.
and that was it. And then at some point, my mother had a picture of him, and I looked at that picture, and that was it.
Yes, ma'am.
So I decided when I was in England, I decided I was going to try my hand at writing.
Mhm.
And I started writing, and lo and behold, um, my book was accepted by Methuen. But there was one chapter in there I wrote, and it was called Jacob's Dream.
Okay.
So chapters, and I wrote about these. Jacob was this young man that hadn't had a settled life, and he had these two aunts who were trying to determine what was the next best stage for him. So I described these two women in there, and one of them was sort of short and thin and angular, and the other one was kind of plump. And there were two sisters, and they're very close to each other, and they complemented each other. I created these two characters to be the aunts for this young boy named Jacob. Okay. In 1986, that was when the book was being published, and my grandmother, my mother's mother, died that year.
Oh wow.
I just never got a chance to see the book, which was dedicated to her. So I flew over for her funeral, and I'm on the front porch. Lots of people are gathered around, and I'm on the front porch, and these two characters out of my book walk up the steps,
Oh
and that
wow.
was Great Aunt Bessie and Great Aunt Carrie. I'd never seen them in my life. They both had on white. I couldn't believe I was. I remember trying to get my mother's attention because I was saying, but I wrote about them, but I've
Never met him.
never met them, never seen them, and there they were.
Yes, ma'am.
And anyway, so Great Aunt Bessie sees me on television. I'm being interviewed at WIS,
Mhm.
and she calls the station and leaves a message with the receptionist. And when I'm leaving, she said, "You got this message from Bessie Williams, and she wants you to call her. And I was going like, oh, and my parents were with me. My mother said, that's my Aunt Bessie. And I was going like, how does she know who I am? So I called her because the woman at the receptionist was insistent. It's like, you have to call us home. And I was thinking, well, I'd like to go and have lunch.
Yes, ma'am.
But I called her and she goes, you have to come around, you come around. So sure enough, Dad drove us around there. And that's how I met Great Aunt Bessie. My
Yes.
mother hadn't seen it, I don't know how many years.
She and her Aunt Bessie, I loved Aunt Bessie and Aunt Carrie. She is, and her husband, the founders of the
Yes,
Progressive
that's
Church
right.
of our
Yeah,
Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that largest church right there on Bonneville Road.
yes.
But Aunt Bessie and Aunt Carrie, I love them. And Uncle Vito, that was Aunt Carrie's brother. And I think
Uh-huh.
Ricky was his
Iraqi was a
brother,
young,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yes,
was a younger
exactly.
one.
Brandon, that's
No,
where the connection comes in there.
Okay.
that's
Good
Yes.
for
right.
you.
So anyway, um, so I met Great Aunt Bessie, who has a phenomenal memory. I think down to the second. She can remember the date, the time, the second, where she was. And when I would go see her, she'd always want me to make notes. Well, okay, I always have a reporter's notebook in my handbag. So I was writing all these notes of things that, she was telling me, insisting that I write, which you know. Okay, so Great Aunt Bessie dies. And I think Bernice, who my mother was the only member of the Friday family that my mother kept in contact with,
Okay.
Mhm.
let my mother know. My mother said, Great Aunt Bessie's died. Could you represent the family at the funeral?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
So Carolyn, I know you remember this, right? Because the funeral
Mhm.
started in one church and then went over.
Mhm.
I walked into the old church and with my
Mhm.
daughter Anne, and I said, nobody knows us, so let's sit at the back,
Uh-huh.
at some point. Okay. Brandon, your grandmother was standing by the door.
Eh,
She looked at
eh,
me, and I still can't believe this happened. And she said, you're Jareki's granddaughter.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Never seen me in her life.
Really?
And she said that. And she said, you're family. And she took me up to the front. And
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
and I've gone back to my daughter a couple of times and said, Ann, did that really happen? Because
mhm.
it's almost like I must, yeah. So that is how I was introduced to the Fridays.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I became good friends of you and David,
Yes.
Oh,
who I adored
mm,
and still
yeah,
miss. He was such a wonderful man. I mean,
Wow.
yeah. And made a big impact in the state of Virginia too. He was
he
very,
did. He did.
yes,
Wasn't he that he was?
Deputy.
Deputy Secretary of Commerce and Trade
That's
for the
right,
state of
Commerce.
Virginia.
That's right.
Hmm.
And just the kindest person. So, and of course he had a lot of family history and helped me sharing photographs and everything. And that's how, you know, Jeffrey Ziegler came into it. So I had an idea of who Carrie and George Friday were. I wouldn't have known.
Yes, ma'am.
I've
It
come
wasn't.
across some old pictures that Dave gave us, and I'm going to share some of those with you, Vivian. I'll make sure Brandon shares some of those pictures with you. You'll be amazed. You'll probably see your great grandfather or your grandfather in those pictures.
Yeah, I only have the one of my mother has. Well, I think
Oh,
I have
okay.
a copy of that now. I think I do have a copy of it.
Okay.
But yeah, so from that, so even with when Jeffrey and I sort of found each other, by that
Mhm.
point, I think, well, we're Fridays. This happened.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So so Ancestry. I went on there mainly because I was interested in my DNA. I
Yes,
wasn't,
ma'am.
and to find out what part of Africa, what part of Europe. And I wasn't, and I left it open that you can, if somebody is related to you, and that's how Jeffrey did the same thing. And all of a sudden, I get this. I stopped going on to Ancestry, And it was only after my father died and some of my nieces said, well, tell us something about our family. Because,
Okay.
all we know is Pop Pop or
Yes, ma'am.
the great grandfather. So I said, well, let me go back and I can share this with, who, because on my father's side, we go back to the 1700s.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I went there and there was this message saying, hi, Jeffrey Ziegler. And we're related through George and Carrie
Yes, ma'am.
Friday.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. Well, I appreciate you breaking that down for me because I was definitely curious. We do a lightning round that I wanted to ask you about, and actually two things I want to do. One is a question I always ask everybody, so I want to ask you first. The first question is, if you could go back and tell your 18-year-old self anything, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. I was so naive at 18. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I was, really anybody could see me coming.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, I I think I would just say, just go for it.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that would just say, yeah, just it's not going to be easy. Sometimes it's going to be complicated. Sometimes it's going to be messy, but there are going to be a lot of rewards out there. So go for it.
Amen. I do that part for everybody that our listeners that are going from that transition from high school to college or even
Yeah.
in high school about to figure that out. I always think that's so important. And then here is the lightning round where we just ask some quick questions. You can answer either or, whatever makes you feel better. But yeah, here goes lightning round. One word you use to associate with your heritage.
Proud.
Amen. A book that shaped you.
Um, Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, that is a good one. A place that movie still cries when I'm still crying when she dies. Like a place in South Carolina that holds deep meaning to you.
Utah Springs.
Okay. Legacy is built by words or actions.
Obviously actions.
Okay, that sounds good. And then the final question: if you could leave listeners with one truth about who we are and why our history matters, what would it be?
Because history shaped who we are right now.
Absolutely. Oh, hey, you know what? That works for me. That absolutely works for me.
Well, this
Vivian,
has been great. I was a little, I'm used to doing the interviews, Brandon.
yes, ma'am. Hey,
To be on
it's
the
nice to
other
be
side.
you were meant to be in front of the camera.
No, I think I got some good advice back then.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
to go into producing. But yeah, as I said, I'm not used to being in front of the camera. So you turn the tables on me.
Hey, well, you've done a phenomenal job, and you have
This
been
is great. And
stellar.
talking to your
Vivian,
mom again.
Vivian, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on the
you.
show today. And you have imparted so much wisdom with our audience. And I know all the people all over the world, and we have about 13.6 million viewers.
Yeah. And
And,
all over
um,
the
and,
world. Yeah, that's
and,
amazing.
and then we're just so pleased for them to understand. I've always told people they're going to hear about South Carolina.
Yes.
And when I worked, and I always say, you're going to know about South Carolina one day. And I know, look like South Carolina is more in the news for different things these days, Vivian. But I want to thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
imparting again everything that you have. You've impacted our show, and we really appreciate you. And it's great to catch up as well.
My pleasure. And I will get those names to you, Brandon, and the
That
contact.
sounds good, Vivian. I'll have this done. I'll have this done later today, so I have this all back to you. So I appreciate you for coming on. I appreciate your time. I'm going to have to meet up with you and see you, and then you're always welcome back on.
Well, when we meet up, we'll have that conversation.
Okay, that sounds good. You have a wonderful day, and thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank
All right.
you. Let's do our
Bye-bye.
thing, Brandon. What we
Oh yeah,
do.
we always clap for everybody. Great job, Vivian.
Thank you.
Let's see here. I hit a button that. Hold on one second. I hit a button to. Let me try and end this real quick. Hold on one second. I'm gonna do two things here. I had to stop recording.